So here we go again. We have another report. What's going to change, I hear you say? Who was actually in this report? What entities? What institutions? Because let me read for you. The Child Safeguarding Practice Review Panel has today, the 11th of March 2025, published a report about 53 children from Black, Asian and mixed heritage backgrounds who died or were seriously harmed between January 2022 and March 2024. These children were subject to horrific abuse, including sexual abuse, fatal assault and neglect, with 27 children dying as a result. Let me just read that part again. These children were subject to horrific abuse, including sexual abuse, fatal assault, and neglect, with 27 children dying. That's not even half of it. Let me continue. The report sought to understand the specific safeguarding needs of children from these specific ethnic backgrounds and how agencies helped to protect them before it was too late. Helped to protect them. Okay, I'm not going to digress. It has revealed a significant silence in talking about race and racism in child safeguarding, with many local authorities failing to acknowledge the impact of race, ethnicity, and culture. There's a shocker. The key findings include limited attention to race and ethnicity. The analysis reveals a concerning lack of focus on race, ethnicity, and culture in both safeguarding practice and reviews. This oversight has resulted in insufficient critical analysis and reflection on how racial bias impacts decision-making and services offered to children. So when we speak about stop and search, racist bias, the disproportionate exclusions of children and young people from schools, colleges and other institutions, the fact that Black women are 5 times more likely to die during or just after childbirth, the fact that Black men are given 10 to 15-year longer prison sentences for the less crime or something that shouldn't even have been given a prison sentence, the fact that you're more likely to be stop and searched or accused of a crime if you're Black, the fact that, do we need to go on? But, whenever we say things like this, we're told that we're playing the race card. But I digress. Let me continue. Because, with us playing the race card and report after report, year after year, but yet nothing seems to be done. Anyway. Silence on racism. The report identifies a pervasive silence and hesitancy to address racism and its manifestations. The silence renders the safeguarding needs of Black, Asian, and mixed heritage children invisible, both in practice and in the system of learning from reviews. Let me read that again, just in case you missed it. Silence on racism. The report identifies a pervasive silence and hesitancy to address racism and its manifestations. So when we have children in school who are telling you that someone's called them the N-word or punched them in the face or bullying them on a daily basis, and they are called monkey and all other kinds of things, and teachers will stand there and watch this thing happening, when we see, like I said, Black women 5 times more likely to die during childbirth, what is that based on? The color of their skin or just a whoopsie moment? When we see Black men 10 times more likely to suffer with mental health, is that down to the fact that they have that mental health, or the way how they were treated from the schools all the way through society? The silence renders safeguarding needs of Black and mixed race children, what is it? Invisible. Imagine that. And for 75 years, Black people have been in the UK en masse and have been talking about racism, systemic racism, institutional racism, racism that is just everywhere. And we're told that we're playing the race card. We're told to be quiet. We're told that we should just get on with it and stop making excuses. Anyway, let us continue. Both in practice, that Black and mixed heritage children are invisible, both in practice and in the system for learning from reviews. I don't think there's one review anyone's learned from, or it's just a review with a recommendation that sits on someone's shelf gathering dust. Anyway, we continue. Missed opportunities. In failing to acknowledge race, racial bias, and racism, the current system misses many opportunities to learn from incidents where Black, Asian, and mixed heritage children have been seriously harmed or died. died. A parent has had to take their baby and go to a funeral home and then go to a cemetery with their child because there were missed opportunities. This basic bitch report says it's just a few missed opportunities, that ignoring race and racism, some safeguarding. Racism should be a safeguarding problem. Why is it not addressed? Why? Because the only people that are affected are black, mixed, and Asian, and we don't matter in British society. White society does not like us. You show us every single day, from the workplace to the hospital, to the schools, to the prison, to the judiciary, to the police force. Is there anything else I've missed? That every stratosphere, every orifice of British culture and society is based and was built on racism. And every time we say that, you tell us that we are the ones with the problem, but we ain't got a problem. We always invite you guys to the cookout, to the barbecue. You're welcome. We treat you as we would like to be treated, but we're not treated in the same way. Anyway, I digress. Missed opportunities. In failing to acknowledge race, racial bias and racism in the current system misses many opportunities to learn from incidents where black, Asian and mixed heritage children have been, and remember we're talking about children have been seriously harmed or died. The failure to see the totality of children's lives or to scrutinize how racial bias may have affected decision making leaves children vulnerable and at risk of harm without the necessary support and protection. Risk assessments and decision making is a common theme across safeguarding reviews, but not when you're black or mixed, evidently. For example, in 19 reviews, risk had been at least particularly recognized, but this had not translated into action. Oh, there's a shocker. There's a surprise right there. Black people out there, please put your hands up if you're shocked by that statement. I didn't think so. But it has not translated into action. This included several examples brought about girls from Asian and mixed Asian heritage who made disclosures about sexual abuse, but these appeared either to have been disregarded as untrue or were not carefully followed up. Ain't that a shocker? In one review, family members who had vocalized that they perceived practitioners to be racist. Oh, do you want me to go on the long list of head teachers, Senkos, so-called psychologists, who else can we talk? Nurses, doctors, police officers, so many social workers, one of the biggest sets of institutions that have racist practitioners who don't give a damn and who will make up stories and lies about families and young people. Okay. This includes several examples about girls from. I've written in one review. Family members had vocalized that they perceived practitioners to be racist. You notice the language in this. They perceived practitioners to be racist. However, the review appeared to distance itself from any possibility of racism by noting that practitioners had been mindful of the ethnicity of families. What does that mean? What does that mean? Anyway, the review then concluded these accusations were groundless. Of course they concluded. I'd love to see who was on that panel. But did not provide evidence about whether the claims had been investigated or provide any detail about how this judgment had been made. Shocker. Shocking. Of course they couldn't provide any evidence because none of them probably has ever received or been on the receiving end of racism or anything else in this society that we speak about. So then with that, they can tell us to put up and shut up because it doesn't exist, because they don't see, feel or experience it. So then the rest of us have to put up with it. And yet again, we're going to have report after report after report around this where nothing gets done. And then what tends to happen is we find some, jumped up old granny who lives in the Yorkshire counties who talks about how she's an advocate for racism. And then the black and mixed and Asian organizations that are out there doing the real work, actually on the ground, dealing with families, supporting families, protecting families from the racist discrimination they face in schools and wider society, they're not given a penny. They're probably given about £20,000 because they don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't have bills, they don't need to drive a car, they're given that to run for maybe 3 to 5 years and expected to deliver, but they're going to deliver anyway. And then why the white organisations are given millions of pounds but can't deliver, and then try to entrust the black organisations to come in to work for free. Do you not see the problem here? But you guys keep writing reports and that sit on the shelves and doing sweet fuck all about it whilst our children suffer. But it is the season of FAFO. Things will be changing. And as an organisation, the Black Child Agenda, Tackling the Schools to Prison Pipeline, and the other agencies that we do work within the black community who actually have a real voice will actually be contacting all of you with regards to what you propose to do about this meaningless nonsense report. Cheryl Phoenix, peace, and I'm out.